SS Hopestar was a 5,267 GRT cargo ship which was built in 1936 by Swan, Hunter, and Wigham Richardson Ltd, Newcastle upon Tyne, Northumberland for the Wallsend Shipping Co Ltd. She sank off the coast of Newfoundland in 1948 with the loss of all 40 crew. Hopestar was 416 feet 8 in, 127.00 m, long, with a beam of 57 feet 4 in, 17.48 m. She had a depth of 27 feet 0 in, 8.23 m, and a draft of 29 feet 6 in, 8.99 m. The ship was assessed at 5,267 GRT, 3,191 NRT, 9,800 DWT. She was powered by 2 Parsons steam turbines, double reduction geared and driving a single screw propeller. The turbines were a high-pressure and a low-pressure unit, working in series. Together, they were rated at 2,000 brake horsepower, 1,500 kilowatts. This gave the ship a maximum speed of 12 knots, 22 kilometers per hour, 14 miles per hour. The ship's boilers were built by the Northeastern Marine Engineering Co Ltd. Hopestar was built as yard number 1513 by Swan, Hunter, and Wigham Richardson Ltd, Newcastle upon Tyne, Northumberland for the Wallsend Shipping Co Ltd. Launched on January 22, 1936, she was completed in February 1936. Hopestar was operated under the management of Arthur Stott & Co Ltd. Her port of registry was Newcastle upon Tyne. The code letters GYRL and United Kingdom official number 161532 were allocated. Following completion of sea trials on February 27, 1936, her maiden voyage was on February 29. It took her to Spain, Durban, South Africa, and the Netherlands East Indies. In 1938, her managers were changed to Stott, Mann and Fleming Ltd. When the Second World War broke out, Hopestar was at Bunbury, Western Australia. She sailed that day for London, which was reached on November 28, 1939 via Fremantle, Durban, Cape Town, Freetown, and Belfast. During 1940, she crossed the Atlantic Ocean 3 times in the first 6 months, mostly sailing independently but sometimes in convoy. On January 9, 1940, Hopestar came under attack in the North Sea off Cromer from a U-boat. 3 torpedoes were fired at her but they were evaded. Her captain was awarded an OBE for his seamanship. One of her gunners was awarded a BEM for his part in driving out the submarine. The second half of 1940 saw her sailing to Buenos Aires, returning to the United Kingdom in December 1940. Hopestar was then out of service for 3 months, departing from the Belfast lock on March 25, 1941 for the River Tyne, where she arrived on April 1. She was then out of service until August 2 when she sailed from Sunderland, County Durham on a voyage that would take her to Freetown, Cape Town, Durban, Aden, Suez, Port Said, Alexandria, Beirut and Haifa, which was reached on December 20. Hopestar returned to the United Kingdom via Port Said, Suez, Aden, Mauritius, Durban and Freetown. She arrived at Southend-on-Sea on April 20, 1942. She sailed a week later on a voyage that would take her to New York, Key West, Trinidad, Cape Town, Durban, and Bombay, India, where she arrived on 28 October 1942. Hopestar departed from Bombay on January 4, 1943. She spent the next few months sailing the coast of Africa, arriving at Gibraltar on July 20 and sailing 3 days later for the River Tyne, which was reached on August 8. She sailed on September 28 to make a round trip to Montreal, returning to Southend-on-Sea on 21 December. Hopestar sailed on January 13, 1944, remaining in British waters and arriving at the Clyde on February 13. She sailed on 2 May for various ports in the Mediterranean, always in convoy at this time. She arrived back at Southend-on-Sea on August 15. Hopestar departed on August 25 for a return trip across the Atlantic Ocean to Boston, Massachusetts, United States. She was in convoy throughout the voyage and returned to Liverpool on 31 December. Hopestar sailed on February 14, 1945 for Cardiff and Milford Haven, where she arrived on March 3. She sailed the next day for Africa, in convoy for the last time. She was at Accra when the war in Europe ended. Hopestar returned to Liverpool on June 12, sailing 2 weeks later for Charleston, South Carolina, United States, which is where she was when the war finally ended. She again sailed Mediterranean waters before arriving at Middlesbrough, Yorkshire on November 14. In 1947, a third boiler was installed in Hopestar. It was later determined that this weakened the structure of the vessel and may have contributed to her loss. In June 1948, Hopestar underwent a routine survey, which she passed. On November 14, 1948, Hopestar was reported to be 450 nautical miles, 830 kilometers, off St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. She reported her position by radio at 1 o'clock. It was reported by the ship that she had been damaged by heavy weather, with a force 9 gale blowing at the time. The last report from Hopestar was at 12 o'clock that day, when she was at 43°00 and 56°08 W. She was on a voyage from Newcastle upon Tyne to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States, and was in ballast at the time. She was to collect a cargo of grain to return to the United Kingdom with. By November 23, 7 aircraft were involved in the search for Hopestar. On November 24, Captain W.R. Richards of the United States Coast Guard said, "We feel that there is little possibility that any survivors are left alive." On November 25, Hopestar was declared to have foundered with the loss of all hands. The search was abandoned on November 26. No wreckage from Hopestar was ever found. The Board of Trade held an inquiry into the loss of Hopestar. It was held in London on 4 to 6, 9 to 13, 16 to 17, and 26 to 28 January 1950. It was concluded that Hopestar had probably broken to and foundered with the loss of all 40 of her crew. The possibility that she struck a mine could not be discounted, but was thought unlikely. Questions were asked by Stan Aubrey in the House of Commons on March 20, 1950, although they were never satisfactorily answered. References